Hi and welcome to this video, and in this video we're going to talk about some questions and answers that you might have relating to ISO 9001. Okay? And without much further ado, we're going to start with the actual first question, okay, relating to this Q&A, which is, will ISO 9001 2015 help my organization increase profits? So this is a two-pronged question, in my opinion, okay? So first of all, by implementing ISO 9001, which is a quality management system within your organization, you are going to make sure that you work in a more efficient way, okay? So by first of all, redefining your processes and making sure that your processes are mapped out in the most efficient way and that your people are following such efficient way, you're going to be more efficient in how you operate. Apart from that, by having a fact-based approach to decision making, in the sense that the decisions are taken based on data rather than on opinions, then you're going to make sure that you are going to be headed in the right direction as an organization. And what I'm trying to say is that by implementing a top-level quality management system within your organization, you're going to make sure that you are working in a more efficient way, and whereby you're going to have everyone within your organization pulling the same rope, headed into the same direction. Okay, so that in itself should increase the profits within your organization. Secondly, if having ISO 9001 is a requirement by some of your clients or suppliers within your industry, then by having an ISO 9001 certification, you will be able to access more clients and or suppliers, and therefore that will obviously increase the profit within your organization. So, in a nutshell, to answer this question, will ISO 9001 help my organization to increase profits? I would say it's a definite yes, because first of all, you're going to be more efficient, and secondly, you might be able to tap into different markets. The second question, what is the current ISO 9001? So ISO 9001, as I have explained, is a quality management system, okay? And the latest version of the standard is the 2015 version, okay? So ISO 9001 2015 is there because 2015 is the latest version of the standard. The first version of the standard was launched in 1987, okay? And since then, the standard has been updated every roughly 8 years. Also, I want to point out that every time there is an update in the standard, it is usually created in such a way that the standard becomes more and more beneficial to the organizations implementing the standard, okay? So, coming back to the original question, what is the current version of ISO 9001? It is the 2015 version. What is the difference between certification and accreditation? I think that this is a very, very good question, and unfortunately, some people do get confused with this topic. Okay, so first of all, accreditation and certification, they are actually different. Okay, they are fundamentally different in the sense that a certification, for example, ISO 9001, ISO 14001, would be certifications. An accreditation usually would carry more weight, okay? And this applies to standards, for example, ISO 17025 or ISO 15189, okay? And these two letter standards, which are also ISO standards, but these standards apply, for example, to laboratories and medical laboratories, respectively, okay? So depending on the type of ISO standard that you are going for, you will need to determine whether you need an ISO certification or ISO accreditation. And perhaps one of the most important differences that affects the tactics of your organization when it comes to implementing these standards within your organization is that when it comes to a certification, you're going to work with a certification body. Okay? A certification body is an entity, okay, that can be present in one country but give certifications in another country. When it comes to accreditation, we cannot do that. Okay, so for example, I am based in Malta, Europe, and whenever a company in Malta needs to get an accreditation, for example, for ISO 17025, there is one specific entity, okay, in the country that is capable, or rather accredited, to give out such accredited certifications, okay? And what makes a certification body able to give out certifications? Certification bodies would be accredited themselves to be able to give out certified ISO 9001 certificates. Okay, so to answer your question, certification and accreditation are different. Okay, depending on the type of certification you are going for or the type of ISO standard you are going for, you will need to determine whether you need an ISO certification or accreditation. ISO certification is offered by certification bodies. Accreditation is offered by the National Competent Authority. Okay? So in that case, you would need to refer to your country where the lab is going. For example, if you're getting ISO 17025, you will need to see the country where the lab is going to start operating, and you will need to find the competent authority in that particular country who is able to offer such certifications, such accreditations, excuse me. So going to the next question, what does it mean to be ISO certified? Being ISO certified means that you have a quality, or rather a management system in place. Okay? It also means that you have a certain level of integrity, okay? That you have a certain level of structures, and usually in the market, this is seen as a very positive sign. Okay? To be ISO certified means that you have a certification body or an accreditation body to visit your company once every year to make sure that you are still following the processes within your organization. To be ISO certified means that your organization has defined how you tackle certain elements within your business, okay, by mapping out specific systems. I don't like to call them procedures, okay, but by mapping out specific systems of how your organization works, and that in reality you are actually following these systems that you would have defined. So to be ISO certified means that you have a strong management system in place that will work irrespective of the person who is operating a particular process, because the system has been created in a way that makes sure that there is consistency within the way that you operate as an organization. A question that I get asked very frequently is which ISO certification is best? And I do appreciate this question from everyone who asks me this question, because there are so many management systems available. And the first topic that I talk about when talking about this question with people who ask me this question is depending on the type of organization that you are working for. Having said that, by starting with ISO 9001, you are creating a foundation for quality, okay? Because what is quality? Quality is understanding customer requirements and executing the activities that are needed from the product or service to meet the requirements of your client. So, if quality relates to the act of understanding customer requirements and meeting customer requirements, then that means that ISO 9001 is practically covering all the activities of your organization. Depending on the industry that you operate, for example, if you are within the food sector, then you might want to consider ISO 22000, which, so first of all, I would still start with ISO 9001 because it sets out the foundations of what is quality management within your organization. But then I would also look into ISO 22000, which, for example, talks about food safety. Also, again, if you are looking, for example, for a laboratory, ISO 17025 might be the standard that you are looking for, unless you are working within medical devices, in which case it would be ISO 15189. Okay? So, depending on the industry that you are working on, you will need a different type of certification. For example, ISO 13485 also talks about quality management, but in this case, we are talking about quality management for companies operating within the medical device industry. I encourage you to go to my website, lukdesira.com, and over there in the ISO standards page, you will be able to find the different types of ISO standards that are, first of all, generic. Okay, so ISO 9001, quality, 14001, environment, 45001, health and safety, etc. These are generic management systems and can be adopted by any type of organization. In the middle, you have also information about the specific management systems. For example, here we are talking about ISO 22000, ISO 17025, ISO 13485, and other ISO standards that are created with a specific industry in mind. Finally, there is also an element of compliance, okay, where, for example, MDR, GDP, IVDR are only available to specific industries. In this case, these relate to the medical device companies, okay? So going back to this question, which ISO certification is best for your organization? I would answer that question by, first of all, saying that it depends on the industry. However, as a generic answer, I would greatly encourage that you start with ISO 9001 because it sets out, the foundation of what your company does in its fundamentals. Okay? And then as you are expanding your quality management system further to meet other requirements of other ISO standards, then you can incorporate the requirements of more specific standards to your current quality management system that would be based on ISO 9001. Moving on to the next question, how do I drive improvement through ISO 9001? So ISO 9001 is full of ideas and ways in which you can improve your organization. Okay? And in my opinion, there are two most important elements that will help you to drive improvement through your organization. First of all, we have the concept of quality objectives. Okay, so both as a human being and as an organization, we have to have some type of goalpost, some type of location where we want to go, because if we don't know where we want to go, we will surely not get there. Okay, so in terms of ISO 9001, these are called quality objectives, and the quality objectives don't necessarily have to relate only on quality, but they can relate to any other aspect of your organization. For example, finance, sales, purchasing, operations, and also quality. So the first element of improvement through ISO 9001 is by helping you to set up a structure for quality objectives, and you're going to make sure that everyone is pulling the same rope and headed into the same direction. Okay, so that's the first element. The second element is the idea of continual improvement, okay, whereby no matter how hard we try, we will never be able to create a perfect management system, and we will always keep on making some type of mistake. Okay, we are all human beings and mistakes do happen. And the idea that ISO 9001 instills in us, okay, to make sure that we are continually improving, is to have a structured way in which we can learn from our mistakes. In my opinion, making a mistake is acceptable. However, repeating the same mistake over and over and over again is not acceptable. And that is where ISO 9001 comes play. So the corrective and preventive action system will help us to make sure that, first of all, we understand the type of issues that are happening within our organization, that we correctly identify the root cause that is causing such a particular issue to happen, and that we identify the relevant solutions that will help to fix the root cause of such issue. Also, by keeping track of the corrective actions within our organization, then we're going to be able to have data relating to trends, okay, of the types of issues that are happening within our organization. So, by knowing what types of mistakes are happening most often within our organization, we will be able to mitigate those issues to make sure that they don't repeat themselves again. So going back to this question, how do I drive improvement through ISO 9001? Once again, I say that there are two answers to this. First of all, by having accurate quality objectives, we're going to make sure that everyone is headed into the same direction. Okay. Secondly, by having a structured way in which we can learn from our mistakes. The next question is, does ISO 9001-2015 cover health and safety? And the easy answer would be that yes, it does cover health and safety, because clause 2 talks about any type of normative references, okay? And clause 4 talks about interested parties, and other elements within the quality management system talks about the fact that the organization has to meet all legal requirements relating to delivering your product and service. So, in a nutshell, yes, you have to comply to health and safety regulations when it comes to your product and service to be fully compliant with ISO 9001. However, ISO 9001 is not dedicated on health and safety. ISO 45001 is the standard that you are looking for if you want to implement a health and safety management system within your organization. The next question is ISO 9001 a legal requirement for your organization? No, ISO 9001 does not tend to be a legal requirement for organizations, okay? Usually it would be imposed by clients or suppliers, okay? So no regulation will ever tell you to implement a quality management system because this is an optional quality management system. However, if your client decides that they will only work with ISO 9001 certified companies, then that would make it a must for you to get this type of certification if you want to keep on working with that particular client. Okay? So in a nutshell, the answer to this question is no, ISO 9001 is not a legal requirement. However, if it is a customer requirement, then you will need to do whatever is possible to meet the needs of your customer, whereby in this case, it would be to get ISO 9001 certified. The next question is, can an individual or freelancer be certified with ISO 9001? And this is an interesting question because an individual or a freelancer can operate through a company. Okay? So first of all, both a company and someone who is registered as self-employed can get certified towards ISO 9001. And also, both companies who employ from one person up to companies that employ 50 or 100,000 people can get certified to the standard. So, in a nutshell, yes, an individual or freelancer can be certified with the ISO 9001 standard, irrespective if they operate through a company or not. Okay? But what I wanted to make sure that you understand with this question is that you are not getting certified as an individual, okay? It is always the business operation that is going to get certified. So if we take an example of someone who operates through a company, but they are a freelancer, it is not that the freelancer is going to get certified, but the company that the freelancer operates basically will get certified. If a particular person works on a self-employed basis, okay, and they also have other people working with them within that self-employed structure, it is still that self-employed as an entity is going to be certified, not the individual, him or herself. Okay? So the point that I'm trying to drive home with this question is that everyone can get certified, okay? Both companies and self-employed people and NGOs and publicly registered companies, as long as it's a business entity, then it can get ISO certified, but the business entity will get certified, not the individual person, okay? A freelancer, me, myself, if I were a freelancer, I cannot get ISO 9001 certified because I'm not a business. I am a human being. The company that I work through can get certified, and it can certify whether I employ one person or whether I employ 100,000 people. And I hope that that answers your question. The next question is, does ISO 9001 apply to software and iGaming organizations? I think that the beauty of ISO 9001 is that it can be applied by any type of organization, irrespective of the industry that it operates in. Okay? Having said that, there are other standards apart from ISO 9001 that could be beneficial to a software or an iGaming organization. For example, ISO 27001, which talks about information security. So going back to this question, does ISO 9001 apply to software and iGaming? Yes, it certainly applies to them because all organizations have quality, okay? And quality management is important to any organization within any industry. What I am also saying is that there might be other standards that might be more relevant to the company, or also relevant rather than more relevant for specific organizations that you work in. In this case, in the case of software and iGaming, since they handle sensitive information relating to their clients or even possibly the clients of their client, okay, then having an information security management system based on ISO 27001 will surely be beneficial to these types of organization. Are there any alternatives to ISO 9001-2015? Okay, and I guess the question in this case would be, are there any alternatives to ISO 9001 as a quality management system? Yes, there are other quality management systems based on different frameworks. Okay, for example, the Malcolm Baldrige quality management system. However, ISO 9001 is the most commonly used quality management system in the world, okay, because it is requested by some clients and suppliers. Over 1 million companies are ISO 9001 certified worldwide, okay? And therefore, even though from a technical point of view, there might be alternatives to ISO 9001, from a branding or from an adoption point of view, ISO 9001 is the best option that your organization can go for. My company wants to get certified, but as a management, we're unsure about how to implement it and maintain it. What should we do? This is a very good question. Okay, so first of all, I'm a consultant and trainer, and my job is to help companies to implement such a management system within their organizations. Okay, but if you are just getting started on this journey, what I would encourage you is that you go through my website and to read all the information that is available. I am committed to sharing only factual and accurate information on my website, okay, to make sure that you have all the information that you need at your fingertips. If you would like to get more information, you can also hire me as a consultant, or else you can buy any of my digital products with regards to templates and or training, so that you can further understand the requirements of the standard. So going back to this question, how to implement ISO 9001, the first thing that you would need to do is to, of course, understand the requirements of the standard. And you can do this through many sources, okay? What I would like to remind you at this stage is that the person that will teach you ISO 9001 will have a lot of influence on how you will understand ISO 9001. And how you understand ISO 9001 will have a huge impact on the number of procedures or forms or records that you will implement during the implementation. And the least thing that you would want when implementing ISO 9001 within your organization is to create an overly bureaucratic system. Because granted, you might save some time and money upfront when you are still implementing the quality management system within your organization. But then keep in mind that if the template that you purchase online comes with 80 forms, you will need to keep on updating those 80 forms throughout the period that you maintain your ISO certification. So, I greatly suggest that first of all, you choose to work with a person, a trainer, a consultant who appreciates that life is already complicated enough and whose role is to simplify the requirements of the ISO 9001 standard to meet the requirements of your business. Okay, so after you would have identified the person who will be helping you, and you would have started to draft and implement the systems that are needed to meet the requirements of the ISO 9001 standard, then you would need to do an internal audit. Once again, an internal audit can be done by an external person, like myself, or by someone within your organization, provided that they have been adequately trained. The training available on this website will make sure that person doing internal audits within your organization has the competencies that are needed by this ISO standard. And after you would have completed the internal audit, the next step that you would need to go through would be to get a certification body. Okay? Certification body is the entity that will provide you the certification. Okay? I like to compare this to if you were learning how to drive a car. Okay? I am the person who will be teaching you of how to drive a car, but then you will need to go to a government entity to actually get the driving license. It is a very similar approach, okay, whereby I am teaching you or helping you to implement the management system within your organization, but then you would need to go to a certification body or an accreditation body to get the certification within your organization. And the last thing that I want to answer when it comes to this question is how to maintain your ISO certification. So after you have been certified, then every year you will need to do an internal audit, a management review, and an external audit that will be carried out by the certification body. If any of these terms are not clear to you, please feel free to use the search function on my website www.lukdesira.com to get all the information that you will need regarding these keywords. Okay, but to answer this question in a nutshell, so if you're unsure on how to implement and maintain ISO 9001, first of all, you will need to get the knowledge from somehow. That will either be books, courses, trainers, etc. Make sure that you choose to work with someone who likes to simplify things. Okay? Then you will need to implement the management system within your organization after understanding the requirements. Then you will need to do an internal audit and management review. Following that, you will host the certification body to do an external audit. And to maintain your ISO certification, you will need to do an internal audit, management review, and external audit once every year. Is ISO 9001 applicable to manufacturers or some other special groups? ISO 9001 can be used by any organization within any industry employing any number of people. All companies have quality management. Not all companies choose to focus on quality management, and this is shown by the quality of the products or services that they give and by the consistency of their products and services. What ISO 9001 does to your organization is to help you to make sure that you are able to consistently deliver the same quality of products and services irrespective of the people who are operating your processes. In turn, this will make sure that you are operating a sustainable business. That is all I had for you in today's video. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. I would love to help you succeed. And maybe I would also be answering such questions in a Q&A video just like the one I did right now. Thank you so much, and I look forward to meeting you, to helping you implement or maintain ISO 9001 within your organization. Thank you so much.